Welcome back for the second hour of the Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group meeting for April 2023. Be sure that you put any questions you might have in the chat on Zoom or on Facebook, and we'll address those at the end of Julie's presentation. Julie Wilcox is also our second hour presenter, and she will now give us a class entitled the FamilySearch Wiki. The FamilySearch Wiki is an amazing but underused resource. It's a free tool for finding information about subjects, records that may have been generated by your ancestors, and places in which records may be found. It's like an online encyclopedia for family history research. It's on FamilySearch, and she's going to help us learn how to use this great tool to improve our research. Thank you, Julie. The time is yours.
All right. So unfortunately, a lot of people don't know about the wiki or don't understand how they can use it to assist them in their own personal research. But I want to start with a quote that I just love. Has to do with technology. This is Howard W. Hunter, said this in a family history fireside in 1994. So this is when we were just getting started with the computers in the home. He said, in recent years, we have begun using information technology to hasten the sacred work of providing ordinances for the deceased. The role of technology in this work has been accelerated by the Lord himself, who has had a guiding hand in its developments and will continue to do so. However, we stand only on the threshold of what we can do with these tools. I feel that our most enthusiastic projections can capture only a tiny glimpse of how these tools can help us and of the eternal consequences of these efforts. So that's one of my favorite technology quotes. But I have seen, from the time I began doing research in the 1970s to today, a huge difference in what's available and how quickly we can get that information, and even just in the digitization processes and the artificial intelligence to use optical character recognition in transcribing that data. So we are so blessed to be in this day and age. And a lot more people are doing family history research, but we all have questions, all of us, even those that are experienced. So if you're wondering where to begin on a research project, or you need to know what records are available in a certain area, maybe you need some historical information, or just want to know how to begin a research project from a foreign country that you've never done before. All of these questions and more can be answered with the Research Wiki. It can really help minimize your research frustrations. So the wiki is like an encyclopedia of genealogy online. It's created and maintained by FamilySearch, but the community can add to that information and edit the information, just like the Wikipedia that's online that we're all familiar with. The word wiki actually comes from a Hawaiian word, wiki, which means quick. So the plan is that the wiki is a quick, easy way to find the information that you're looking for. When I first started doing research in the 1970s and up until the 1990s, the church published what's called research outlines. And these were really helpful little booklets that aided me in my research, how to do different things, how to use these collections of records, how to find them. And there were hundreds of these little outlines published at the time. Well, when the church created the FamilySearch website, someone got the great idea that all of these original outlines could be put online for people to use. Originally, you had to purchase them, and it went through that long printing process. And almost as soon as they were printed and available, they were outdated because new information was being acquired so rapidly. So these original research outlines were the beginning of the FamilySearch Wiki. Those original outlines are still available on the wiki and through the BYU Family History Center. So what other kinds of things can we find on the wiki? Links to genealogy databases and online resources. Explanations of different types of records and how to find them. All of the different websites that might have them. Research strategies and guidance. And what we call locality pages. So any place in the world, you can go to a page on FamilySearch and learn about what resources would be available for researching that place. Then we have what's called topic pages. So any kind of topic you can possibly imagine that has to do with genealogy, there's going to be a page on the wiki about it. I looked just yesterday, and the total number of articles that's available is over 100,000. There's no way I'm going to read all of those in my lifetime, but I can find and read the ones that are pertinent to the research that I'm doing. The research wiki is very easy to find. If you go to FamilySearch and go to the search tab on the drop-down menu, you'll find the research wiki. Or you can go direct by typing in wiki.familysearch.org in your URL address bar. FamilySearch says that navigating the wiki is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1, click on the world map that's on the home page, which I'll show you in a minute, or using the search box to type in a place or a topic. And then 2, improve your search with the filters, narrow it down a little bit. And then 3, just navigate using the different parts of the page that you have found. One thing that the wiki is not is a database of specific individuals. So if you're researching your ancestor, you're not going to go to the wiki and in the search box, put in that ancestor's name and expect to find records. Instead, you want to search for the place where your ancestor lived or a topic that relates to him. Maybe he was in the Civil War. Maybe your ancestor was an orphan. Or maybe you want to find out about newspapers in the locality where your individual lived. That's the type of a search you want to do on the wiki. However, like most rules, there's an exception. So I used our unusual family surname of Patillo, that's my mother's maiden name, and put that in the search bar. And it actually did come up with a few results. They're all linked to that Virginia compiled genealogies from the various counties. But so it was kind of a fun find and a surprise to find that. But generally, you're not going to have a lot of success by searching a family name in the wiki. This is what the home page looks like on the wiki. Notice that there's a map. It's kind of interactive. You click on the name of the country and it will open up with a pop-up box. We'll show you in a minute how that works. Or you can use that search bar right in the middle and type in a place or a topic. And then you'll get kind of a little drop-down menu and you can select to narrow your search to what you really want. Notice the column on the left side. Everything on the wiki that's in blue is a link that will open up to a new page. So this column that's on the left side is on every page on the wiki. These are things that they've determined that you will probably want to go back to at some time or another. So they make them available right there on every page. We are not going to talk about how to become an editor on the wiki because we just don't have time. But if that's something you're interested in, you can go to any of those links that talk about becoming an editor, or updating or adding new information to the FamilySearch wiki. But you notice that there are links to things like online genealogy records and guided research. There are links to family history centers all over the world and more information here. And we're going to talk about some of these, especially these, in detail here in a minute. So one other thing to notice is that by that search bar on the homepage, you have a link that says Find Search Tips. So if you're having trouble finding exactly what you want on the wiki, you might want to look at those search tips and see if that gives you some guidance. But generally, I just use that search box and type in a place or a topic that I'm interested in. And there are so many different topics: newspapers, census records, tracing Latter-day Saint ancestors, old soldiers' homes, all of the different wars, all kinds of things that you can find pages about in the wiki. I often will start with just a location. And so for this example, I've selected North America. And when I click on that button, a pop-up box shows me all the different places in North America. When I chose the United States, then I get a list of all of the states, and I can choose the one I'm interested in. So I'm going to use Georgia as an example. I've gone to Georgia several times to do research. My great-grandfather was born there, and a lot of family members lived there. So we're just going to use it as an example. This is just the top portion of a page for Georgia. Whenever you open up a wiki page, be sure and scroll down and see all of the contents on that page. In this case, right at the top, we have some helps for just getting started with Georgia research. And we have some specific research tools that might help me with my research in this state. On the right, you will see a map, and under the map, you have some links for guided research and research strategies. These are not just general things. These will be specific for this location. Then we have a long list, and I've cut it off, you don't see the whole list, of record types. So if I was interested, for example, in trying to find death records, there's a variety of things here I might check. I could look at newspapers, obituaries, cemeteries, Bible records. Maybe I want to look at those colonial records. Even military and land records might have death information. And what you don't see is there's also a link for vital records. So a lot of different options, but these again will be specific helps for just this place. Then you also see some buttons, a blue button that says Georgia Online Genealogy Records, and a purple button that's about Ask the Community. In a few minutes, I'm going to go into details about the Ask the Community button, and sooner we'll talk about the online records link. But as we scroll down on any locality page, you will also find a map. And of course, we know the maps can be very helpful. The Georgia page also has a link that talks about the boundary changes for all these counties. I think Georgia has the most counties of any state in the United States. And those boundaries have changed a lot over time. We have one relative that, as far as we can tell from census records, never moved. They were in the same farm all their life, but we have records in 3 different counties for that family. Even though they didn't move, the boundary lines changed. So the wiki, provides me with the dates and times when those changes took place so that I would know maybe which place to look for those records. You can also get detailed information with the dates for when those major records began. Every state began having death certificates in a different year. So in Georgia, they didn't begin until 1919. Utah, I can find a death certificate as early as 1904. So there's a big range. And these little charts that are on the wiki can help me to know what to do if I can't find a death certificate. What are some substitute records I can look for? So I always open up those little vital record charts to see what year they began having those statewide birth, marriage, and death registrations. As you scroll down on the Georgia page, there's even more information. So just to show you how specialized each page is for that place that you're researching. On the wiki, you will find 2 types of links. So remember, everything in that blue if you click on it, is a link that's going to open up in a new page. If it has this little symbol of the box with the arrow in it, that's an external link. And it means it's going to take you to a page somewhere away from the FamilySearch Wiki. If it has a $sign by it, so you can see some of these have $signs, that means it's going to take you to a website that requires a subscription. But I don't let that stop me from taking a look. Sometimes it's a page I already have a subscription to, such as Ancestry.com or MyHeritage. I have a subscription to Fold 3. So, I always look at those and see what the situation is. And some subscription sites allow you to have a short free trial or a minimal, like 1 month subscription. So I always look and see what's going on with that. The other type of links that you have are called internal links. So they don't have that little box with the arrow. You will usually leave the wiki page that you are on. So instead of opening up that page in a new tab, it'll just open up a new page right where you are. And most of the links, well, I don't know, there's a lot of links that are just new wiki pages. So watch for those. This is just an example. Nebraska, very, very similar to the page set up in Georgia. But here you can see that link to vital records. I usually always go right to that so that I can get that chart that tells me when they began those statewide registrations of information. And I love the county pages because they give you detailed information about things like the courthouse. Sometimes you will find, in this case, that tells you that in 1923, a fire burned the Lincoln County Courthouse. So a lot of records were lost. And very specific information for this place. When we were going to visit Georgia, it was helpful for me to see that county information, and I found the various sites like the Historical Society and where the archives were, and it was all collected in one place here on the FamilySearch Wiki. Another example, very similar, all the states, similar information. I noticed when I was looking at the Florida page that they have this little Adopt a Wiki page symbol. So it is possible for groups or organizations to adopt a wiki page. So in this case, the Florida GenWeb project actually adopted this wiki page. So updates will generally be made by it, but people can still submit edits and changes and help edit the wiki. And it's kept very up to date because people are watching their points of interest all the time on the wiki. So what if you want to search outside the United States? Again, you can use the map or just that search bar. We're going to look at Denmark as an example because I specialize in Danish research and I love the resources that are available. So again, watch for those same things. They've tried to standardize the pages for the localities so that instead of having 25 different looks, it'll look pretty similar and easy to remember and navigate through. So you have your research tools right in the middle. And of course, these are going to be very different from the research tools that are found on a US page. And I have great things like a list of words that are going to be found in those Danish records. So even though I don't speak the language, I can do the research. Parish lists, feast day calendar, and lots more. Those how-to guides on getting started with research in any foreign country are almost vital. Like, where do I begin? What are these records going to be like, and how do I find them? But again, watch for those wonderful blue buttons that take you to more online records. So when I click on the one for Denmark, it gives me a big long list of places where I can find the records online. I've realized that most of these links are taking you to places like Ancestry and MyHeritage, There are some for the Danish websites as well, such as the Archivalier online and other sites. So they're all consolidated in this wonderful list, and they're all grouped in different categories to help you find the type of record that you're looking for. So we're going to look at a couple other things just to show you an example of the type of information you might find on a country page. So this is portion of the keyword list for Danish research. They also have pages that explain the headings in the parish books. So you have what it says in Danish and then a translation. So again, I'm a firm believer in you don't have to know or speak that foreign language to do research in that country, because we have so many helps available to us to assist us in that work. And of course, you're going to have maps. And in this case, any of those county pages open up with more details about all the parishes in each county and specific records for those locations. As you scroll down even further, you'll see lots of things like the research tools, handwriting help, and links to more FamilySearch resources, such as these online classes. So FamilySearch also has a learning center with a huge thousands of classes that are available. And many of those are linked to pages on the wiki like these. When you click on any of those, it takes you right to the class in the Learning Center. And in this case, you see that there's a series of classes. Many of them have handouts that are available. One thing that I don't like so much is that you have to actually click on the class and get it started before you can see how long the class length is. So they could be as short as 5 minutes or as long as an hour and a half, and you don't really know until you click on that. But there's a wonderful, huge database of online classes that are linked to the wiki. And let's just look at some topic pages. This is just one example. United States newspapers. So the wiki page gives lots of links for places where you can find newspapers in the US. It lists all of those main subscription sites as well as free ones. But they also list every single state. And when you click on the state, it gives you more specific information for how to find newspapers from that state. There's a page about burned counties, courthouse records, criminal records, prison records. This is from Australia. Immigration records and information about orphans, census records for any country. Let's look deeper a little bit at this one for the US Census. They have specific pages for each year that the census was taken that give you all of the questions that were asked that year and the important features about that particular census. But notice there's also a link for all of the states. So many of the states would have a census of their own in between the federal census. And this is a great place that I go to find out what year, for example, did Texas have a state census that might be in between those federal census records, and where do I find those records? This is just an example looking at the details for the 1900 US Census, where the wiki tells you all about its unique features and problems, and it will have a blank form that you can look at. And so you can get similar information for every census, including the non-population schedules, such as the agricultural schedules, the slave schedules, the mortality schedules, and more. The wiki also provides topic pages for every war you can imagine, and whether there are records available, where can you find them, and how do you research your people that might have been involved in that conflict. This is just showing you that there are pages for the other countries as well that have details about their census records, their wars, their history, and so forth. There's a specific page about Ellis Island and Castle Garden. with great links and other topics. City directories, military records. Remember, there are thousands of pages. So I'm just showing you a few that maybe you might catch your interest. There are some great pages about name variations, a page with a list of nicknames and what the original name might have been, how people might have recorded a name incorrectly or transcribed a name incorrectly, looking at the letters and what letters are often mistranscribed. Lots of great helps for just plain finding names and reading names. And a few more. Just give you an idea of the vast amount of records that are available on the wiki. I have used many of these sites. As a consultant, I will often have people come to me and ask questions about something I don't have any knowledge of. Recently, I had a gentleman approach me he needed help looking for Jewish immigrants from Prussia that landed in New York. Well, I don't have any experience in that. So we went to the wiki and we looked up New York records and New York newspapers, and we looked up Jewish immigrants and we looked up Prussia, several different topics that could help him to learn more about what records are available and how to find them. I've had somebody ask me about researching their Cherokee ancestors in Alabama. Well, that's not a topic I'm familiar with, so we went to the wiki. The wiki is just a wonderful, quick way to find the information that you might be looking for. Here's just a few more examples. So if you have early Latter-day Saint ancestors, there's a wealth of pages that might help you and provide links to other websites, such as the church history library sites and so forth. So I mentioned the Learning Center a minute ago. The Learning Center is a little challenging to find on FamilySearch. But the FamilySearch Wiki has created a page called Classes in the Learning Center, and they have listed all these classes. You can see, I put the total down at the bottom. There's over 2,000 classes in the Learning Center. And what I like to do is go to this page in the wiki and then put in a subject using that control find feature. So in this case, I put in the word Denmark, and it came up with 46 different classes that use the word Denmark. And if I use the word Danish, I got different results. So you might want to try different things. But then you have that link, and all you need to do is click on the link, and it takes you right to that class. So I really love this page on the wiki because it is the quickest, easiest way I know to find specific classes in the Learning Center. So if you're not using that resource, this might help you to use it more frequently. All right, let's talk about some of the other things that you might find on the wiki, and that's the research resources. So what is that? That's in that little column that's on the left-hand side of every page on the wiki. It's pretty important. So here's what happens if you click on that link. Notice that it has a lot of helpful information for beginning genealogy, but even someone that's experienced might like to look at some of these links. Earlier today, we were talking about Roots Magic. Well, this has a page on the wiki that can help you compare all of the different private software companies for genealogy. So it kind of compares Legacy, Entry Maker, and Roots Magic and others, so that you can make maybe a wiser decision in deciding, do you need a personal computer software? And if so, which one do you want? There are other resources here that are extremely helpful, such as, again, links to some classes. And you've got that link that says more research helps. And we're going to look at that here in a minute. Down at the bottom of this page, you can see where it says research tools. And that top option under research tools is research outlines. That is where you can go directly to the page that has a list of all of those original research outlines that were published by then the Family History Library. And they're still in their original format. I did discover recently, though, I have a research, well, it's technically not a research outline, but it's a booklet that was published where I purchased it with the research outlines, but it's all about paleography and the old Gothic handwriting. And it's a wonderful 80-page booklet. And I couldn't find it in this list of research outlines. But in the Danish outline, they have taken just a few pages from that paleography booklet and they're put there. So recently I put in a request that FamilySearch add that entire booklet because it's so helpful in learning how to read that old German script and that Gothic handwriting. So that was a surprise to me that the whole thing wasn't on there, but generally you're going to find all of those old research outlines. Notice that some of them are not by location. They're what's called specialty outlines, and that's where you'll find the ones that talk about the census records or the Social Security Death Index, military records, and more. But again, all of that data that's on those original outlines has been transferred to a locality page or a different page on the wiki. But this is the kind of root beginning of those. Another option in that left-hand column is online genealogy records. So I opened up and showed you what the Danish list of records looks like. But if you want to go direct to see the big list of places where there are online genealogy records, click on that link, and then you'll see that it's sorted by United States and then international. And you can select the place that you're interested in and then see all of the links. So not everything on a wiki page is going to be a link to another website. It might be information about how to search an archive or a library that's information isn't on the internet anywhere. But you can still get help and guidance for those types of searches. But here is just a nice, quick, simple, well-organized way to find those records, those online genealogy records, because that's what we want. We want to be able to do our research right at home in the comfort of our pajamas and not have to take those library trips if we don't have to. Although those are really fun excursions. All right, let's talk a little bit about that purple button that I mentioned early on. Most of your locality pages will have a button that's purple that says Ask the Community. This is a place where you can get specialized research help. So you can also go to the community from the FamilySearch homepage, any page on FamilySearch, just click that little circle that has the question mark in it for help. And in the drop-down menu that opens up, you'll see community, and you can click on community there, and it will take you to this page. So one thing that's different about the data on the community is that you have to sign in again. Usually, if I'm already signed in to FamilySearch and I click that little button that says sign in here, it automatically knows who I am and signs me in. I'm not really sure why FamilySearch decided that you had to have a separate sign in to enter the community, but that's built in, so that's something you need to be aware of. By doing that, you will see any notifications or messages that you have from the community group, and they don't show on your regular FamilySearch homepage. Those messages and notifications are only found once you sign into the community. So I'll show you an example here in a moment. So why is the community helpful? This is an example. I have a grandson that's a service missionary, and he didn't get a lot of training where he was serving for doing one of his assignments was an evening every week at a local family history center. So I spent a little time training him one-on-one, and he was using Pazilla to find record hints, and he found a record hint on our Dutch line. So my mother is her mother is full Dutch. So we have, it's a branch of the family I don't usually do research on. I'm real comfortable with the Danish research, not so much the Netherlands. But he said, this is weird, and he showed me this record. So FamilySearch did not have an image of this marriage record. You can tell because the edit button isn't available. It just didn't have an image, but it had this transcribed information. The person we have on FamilySearch had a birth date for the 15th of May, 1907 in Schiedam, South Holland. Well, this record transcribed an entirely different birth date. It had the same place, and the parents' names matched, and the spouse's name matched. So he was wondering what's going on with that. I can't see the image, so I don't know if it was transcribed wrong. So we went to the FamilySearch Wiki page for the Netherlands and found out how to find the Netherlands website and the page with that record, which was pretty easy because the instructions were really simple. We found the record for the marriage, and some of it's transcribed. It's transcribed in Dutch, but I can see that the date that was transcribed for the bridegroom matches the data we had on FamilySearch. So we were a little puzzled. So why did the FamilySearch transcription have a different date? And that date didn't match the bride either. So we were a little curious. The image is available on this Dutch website, but it's all in Dutch. Even the dates were written out in longhand. Well, that wasn't really helpful to me because I don't read Dutch, you know. So we went back to that wiki page to ask the community for help reading that record and solving the little mystery about why those dates were different. When you click on Ask the Community, it's going to take you to the community page for that place. There are lots and lots of different communities on the FamilySearch database. There's a separate one that's titled Norge for the Norwegian or Scandinavian countries. There's a separate one for the Netherlands. And there are some for just general questions. They're not all just about different countries. So when I clicked on the button, I was invited to join the community for the Netherlands, which I did. Real simple, just click on the thing and make sure you're signed in. So then I wrote a detailed question. I explained that we had these marriage record that had conflicting information, and I included links. That's real important. I included links to those images, both on FamilySearch and on the Dutch website. Sometimes I will actually capture an image, and you can add an attachment to these messages so that someone can either click on a link or look at an image of the record that you need help with. Well, if I want the person I'm asking for help, so it's the whole community, I don't know who's going to answer it, but if I want them to look at a person on Family Tree, I always put in that personal identification number for that person, so it's easy for them to see what I'm doing and what my question is all about. Notice that I asked the question on September 15th, And my response, which was a great answer, came the very same day. That's very typical. Usually you will get the answer right away. Just remember that those answers aren't going to come in an email. Sometimes you will get an email, but I don't 100% of the time, and I'm not sure why. So usually you should get an email saying that someone responded to your question, and then you can click on that link and it will open it up. If not, just go to the community's site and look and see if anyone has answered your question. And remember, you can find it by clicking on that circle with the question mark in it, select communities, and then see if you have any notifications. So I don't think it's real user-friendly because it's not easy to find the community and you do have to sign in again. But once you figure that out, it's a really great tool. It's a good place to get some help with reading records that maybe you're not familiar with, or asking questions for a topic that you need help with. So this is just showing how I click on that little question mark button for help, and it pops up with this box, and the community thing is just right there. When I open up community, I have to sign in again. But then I can see any groups that I've joined, and I can also search their help center for categories. Often, if it's a general question, somebody else has also already asked that question, and maybe you can find your answer there. Here's one more example. In closing, I'm almost done. This is a very early 1700s, so we're looking at 1782 record, and it's Danish, and I needed a little help with it. I don't speak the language. I can pick out the names and the dates and places and know some of the words because of the years that I've researched. But I wanted some help reading this record. So I just went to the community and I said, I dearly appreciate some help reading a marriage record. And then I said, it's a marriage of Jens Larsen and Johanna Madsdottir, and have the date, and I have some links. So hopefully they got all the information that I wanted. One of my questions was one of the words that was after the name, Johanna Madsdottir, because the person I was helping has on their family tree someone with an additional surname with the B-U-G-G-E, and I wondered if that was that name. So I asked my question, submitted that question, and the very same day, so notice I wrote this on February 20th, the very same day I started to get answers. And usually you don't get just one because other people in the community are seeing it, and you might get more than one answer. So first I got a response from Norm Baker, and he said, that's not a marriage record. It's a betrothal record. And he even gave me a link to find the actual marriage record. Gave me some great help. He said that word that I had a question about was a word that means both. So it wasn't the name that we were looking for. It was a different word. So I got some great help. And he even said, perhaps Niels Just Rasmussen could help with more, because he said he had trouble reading it too. So I, right away, the very same day, got a response from Niels Just Rasmussen for this same question. And he gave me links to census records that had that family listed in it in 1787. So great, really specific help, really fast. I didn't have to go previous. I mean, like when I was first learning to do Danish, I would have to go to the Salt Lake Library, get the microfilm I was interested in, find the page, take the film off that reader and take it to a desk and have somebody that was specialized in Danish research read that for me and help me with it. And now I can get help very quickly right at home. Just be sure that you provide plenty of good information about the question that you have and the people that you have a question about. So I do love the wiki. I use it all the time, especially as a consultant. I find, that if I don't know the answer to something, I can show the patron that I'm helping how to find answers on the wiki, and we can work out the puzzle together. Remember that the wiki is like a set of encyclopedias online, absolutely free and available to everyone, with quick reference information and wonderful educational articles to help you with any topic or location that you are interested in learning more about, or how to research for wherever you are researching in the world. Some pages have a lot more information than others. A couple years ago, my granddaughter said she wanted to research her dad's side of the family from Greece. Well, of course, I didn't have a clue. We opened up the page for Greece, and it did give a little bit of information. More recently, there's almost twice as much information than there was a few years ago. But of course, I can't read Greek. They don't even have an alphabet like we are familiar with. So then you would need some help from someone else. But you can go to the wiki and find out what resources are available for the place or the topic that you are interested in. I really hope this has been helpful. Like I said, I'm so thankful for the wiki. It really can be a wonderful resource. So spread the word, get people familiar with the wiki, and use it more often. I see that we've had a few questions or comments on chat. Do we need to look at those now? We have maybe a minute.
Yes.
Go ahead.
There aren't any
It's just-
questions on Zoom, really.
It's just a comment from Carol.
Oh, yes. She said both of these presentations were so good. I learned some new things and was reminded of many things I still need to do. Thanks so much.
That's the problem with family history. It's like a huge puzzle, but every time you find a piece, the puzzle just keeps growing. We're never done.
Oh, that's the good part too.
Yes, yeah, it's great.
I've learned so much more. One of the things that I've realized is that when you start out, you don't even know how much you could find out. And so you don't even know to have expectations. But the more you learn about things like the FamilySearch Wiki and see all the kind of things that are out there.
Yeah, the problem I find with most of the people that I work with as a consultant is that they rely so much on record hints. If they don't get a record hint from FamilySearch or Ancestry, they don't know what to do. They don't know that there are other records out there that might not show up as a record hint. So how do you find them and use them? And I think the wiki's a great place to give that information.
I had another thing come up one day when I work out of the BYU facility, and this lady, I was talking to her about the hints, and she was literally taking every one of them as this really is the person.
Oh, yeah.
And she was attaching everything. And
you can really mess up your Scandinavian lines by doing that.
I said, well,
have the same name.
They keep changing the names of that link process on FamilySearch, unfortunately. But at that time, they had the name of it was called Possible Links or something. And I said, I was trying to figure out how to dance around that carefully. And I said, well, see, it's just possible links here.
It's possible. It's a
for sure links, and
yeah.
And so I said, yeah, you're going to need to go back and look and see if there's some stuff you need to unattach. But
yes, that happens.
Yeah, so it's helpful to have these kind of classes to point out things like that, so you don't fall down any traps.
Yeah, merging people you shouldn't merge.
That's one thing. Like I've said before, I've done a lot of Swedish research, but not so much the others. But the thing that you have to be careful with the Scandinavian thing, as you well know, is you can find somebody with any name you want, multiple versions of there, because
And they
that's
might
the
even have a
nature.
wife with the same name too, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so you've got to be real
Very
careful.
careful. Yep.
And,
It looks like we have two comments or questions on Zoom from Don and from Marilyn.
Okay.
From Don.
My question is, and I thoroughly enjoyed this, Julie, it's been wonderful.
Thank you.
Do you have, or have you done a class on editing the wiki? While we were missionaries, my wife and I were missionaries in London when the wiki first came out. They didn't even list the London Family History Center, which everybody in London knew about and came to see us. I wrote back to the wiki, and it was Michael Ritchie was then in charge of it. And I said, it's not even mentioned here. And Michael wrote back and said, it's a wiki, so you do it.
Yes, so I don't teach that because there's not enough time in this particular class.
Yeah.
But if you go to those links on the left-hand column on a wiki
Yeah.
page, there's lots of information about how to become an editor. And it can be something simple like that. I added information about a small town seminary that was not seminary, cemetery that wasn't on the wiki for that community. And it's very easy. They do review the data, so it's not automatically put online. Somebody has to review it and make sure that it's correct or safe. But it's very easy to become an editor and help update the wiki.
And that I was going to say that is
there on there a video that shows you how to do this, the steps to take?
Yeah, they
Is
have
one of those links.
They have a section of classes, and well, it's a written thing that you can take on how to edit. And I can't remember the name of it, but yeah.
Look
Yeah,
through at those links that are right on the wiki.
Yeah, most of us
Say
need something.
how-
We need to see
I
it.
just
Yeah.
I just clicked on that, and it says the first thing, it's in red letters. It says request to edit the wiki. So I guess you have to
To
You have
be
to
approved.
become an editor. Yep.
Yeah.
and then
Can I say also, though, there's a thing to update links, and all of us know
Some
how
of those links
frustrating
don't
it is that when you get to a cobweb and you say, oh, see, the wiki's not accurate, and you go to click out. But if you'll go ahead and report that, like Julie, I have been really grateful to see within a few days they have fixed those cobwebs. And so it's kind of like all of us taking responsibility. So Julie, thank you also for talking about when you're talking about the wiki, about talking about the community and getting answers that way. I hadn't even thought of putting those two together, and they do kind of go hand in hand. And so thank you.
You're
so
welcome.
much. And the tip to sign in again.
I know. Well, I found that out the hard way.
Me too. Yeah, and they need to have that one up a little bit larger, huh?
Yeah, that's why I said it's not as user friendly as it could be, but it's great once you figure it out.
Yeah. And I liked your examples that you have here, so you can see that it's really knowledgeable people that are taking your questions seriously. And
yes, the community really can be helpful. And I've used the community for things like, for example, we have a Danish pioneer who was baptized in Denmark, but FamilySearch showed baptism dates for like 1920. And I'm like, well, that's not right. So I contacted, through the community and said, can we change these dates? And of course, you have to give the PID numbers and why you think that they had a different date. And it was fixed really quickly.
Well, I'm glad yours was, because I was looking over some of my things, and I think I had 7 different responses before they finally figured out what I needed.
And I have one problem that they are still working on. They've been working on since before Christmas. So it's some problems are a little harder. It's one, if you have a lot of images in memories, some of those early ones disappeared. It'll say the image is not available. So you
Oh,
still have the title but you don't have the image itself.
that
and-
explains something. Okay.
So I've had a lot of people have asked me about it, and a lot of people been commenting because they're having the same problem. But
Oh, dear.
the engineers are working on it. So they
Okay.
said, leave it alone. Don't re-upload those photos or something, but they're not lost forever. They're working on it. So
So one of my, how can I say, pet peeves is duplicate sources, and they have a person assigned to removing when, a duplicate. And so what will happen is you'll have one database, but you'll have it has been put in as suggested sources like 5 times. And
right.
so, so that's
Especially
one.
marriages, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. So anyway, then if you go in and report that in communities, I've also seen them very responsive to
Yeah.
condense that one down, because
You're
when you're
trying
doing
to what they call merge the sources.
merge it, because when you're doing research, your time is essential, and have to eliminate, so many duplicate sources
Right.
to find what you need is
So
time
I'm
consuming.
grateful they're working on it. They're,
Yeah, that's
they
right.
are. They're working on it. So
Yeah, and
Good to know.
we start becoming impatient that changes aren't happening fast enough, and then we just have to take a step back to the old research that used to be done, and just be grateful.
very grateful. Yes.
Thank
We've
you,
come a
Julie.
long way, and watch for new things to happen. It's going to keep growing.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Well,
That's
what I'd like to know is, are any of these beautiful babies from your family?
No, they're all images that I got on Google Images.
Oh, they're darling.
Cute babies.
yeah.
And when I was first asked to teach a class about the wiki about 8 years ago,
Yeah.
I thought, oh, that's a boring topic. It's not like military records or death records. So I put the babies in to liven it up a little.
Oh.
Because I feel like sometimes we're in that infant stage in our research,
Yeah.
No.
So you should have sent your friend with Jewish research to Don Snow.
Oh,
So Don Snow is over at the Family History Center in New York, and has a great relationship with the Jewish community there, and the microfilms that have to do with research.
well, I'm writing it down because I expect to see him again. And when I see him again, I will tell him that. Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Well, thank you. Was there any commentary from Facebook or?
No, no comments or questions from
Oh,
Facebook.
okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Julie. We're thankful that you could come today and get us thinking about these research matters that you've covered, and how to better use everything that's out there. And I think one of the things that I would just tell people is to just keep coming back. Like you were saying, they're always adding things there.
Right, new and updating those pages, right?
Yeah, so there's always a chance that you'll find something new and relevant to what you're doing. Well, thank you so much.
You're very
And,
welcome.